Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
That's hilarious.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
The government.
This is not a Christmas
can.
song.
Oh, it is.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politics. Thank you for joining us on the Sunday special.
This is a Grinch song.
It is good to be with you.
This is a Grinch song.
Pastor Toby. The Grinch knocks. I'm the water boy. It's
wearing
good to
green.
be with you.
I'm wearing green and red. It's Christmas.
That is not a Christmas
The
song.
government.
Hey,
can't-
speaking
the
of-
government
speaking of-
thinks it's a Christmas song.
Speaking of Christmas, look at what club members who are silver and above
that?
get.
What's that?
They get
What's that?
this. The next 150 club members silver and above get this nice.
Oh,
Nice
This is
tumbler.
nice. You know, after you spend 7 months working for the government, you might be able to afford one of these.
Yeah.
you know what's hilarious? Y'all gotta know this.
Reset.
We get these in the studio.
Oh, man.
And Knox,
He just tripped out.
he was like having an emotional experience.
Because they're
tripped
so
out.
nice, they're etched, and then it's like you know you can rub it won't rub out, and you get the feel. Look, the little ridges right
this?
here.
You see
the
this?
way it fits in your hand, and then like, listen. Oh, everything tastes so
Listen,
good out of
listen.
it. I've been wanting these for so long, and it's still hot. It's hot.
I've mentioned this on the show already,
It's
but
amazing.
if you guys either join the club,
You haven't
or
mentioned
a
this
friend,
on the show already.
You buy a club membership for a friend, or you buy a magazine subscription for a friend, we'll send you Christmas gift cards. Just email us at contact@fightlaughfeast.com to get those Christmas gift cards, so you can send it on to your friend that you bought a subscription for.
right,
and
message.
since Biden and Camilla are probably going to be in the office, make sure you get a subscription for them to the White House.
Oh,
you
we
know the address.
we should totally do that.
Send it to the
Subscribe
White House.
to the White House?
Just subscribe to the White
Yes,
House.
Fight
It's
Laugh Feast.
Pennsylvania
Yeah,
Avenue. I mean, you know the address. Just look it up. It's there.
subscribe.
And everything. There's the Tumblr again.
Yeah, look at that beautiful thing. It's
so
so
nice.
good. Look,
So
how you
nice.
doing?
It looks better even live.
Look at that
It
thing.
looks better even live.
I know that.
Download the app. That's the place to go. It's the place to be. You can be live streaming the show actually right now in the app. Pulled up. There's a live stream banner. Click on that. You can live stream the show even in the app.
This show's brought to you by Classical Conversations. My computer died, so I'm just going to make it up as I
Nice.
go along. Classical Conversations is a community of like-minded families all over the nation. In fact, all over the world.
Yes, right.
People meet together. They give the tools to parents to teach their kids classically, Christian. Get connected. ClassicalConversations.com. Find a community near you.
And they support the corporate sponsors.
What are our
Right?
sponsors?
They have been since the beginning.
Yeah.
right.
And also,
OG.
the president, Robert Bortons, he plays rugby.
And he's not a president-elect. He's actually a president.
For true.
For true.
For
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, there's actually some new COVID regulations coming down the pipe, and I think they're starting off in the UK, but they're going to make their way here to
I
the
think
US.
Dr. Fauci said he was playing this video.
That's right.
Good evening. As COVID-19 infections remain high at home and around the world, scientists have found that the virus is being spread not only by coughs, but also by people talking to each other.
Yeah.
Studies show that consonants project the virus for much greater distances than vowels.
That's true.
And certain consonants, the so-called plosive sounds,
Plosives.
are worst of all.
Worst of all.
You can get on to
Each
us all the
time
time
a
for that.
person makes the sound p, t, or k,
Okay.
they can project the virus up to 3 times further than when they use softer consonants, such as f.
There's a high school project that
Oula.
found that out.
Based on this new evidence, the government is introducing new rules in stages to make people's speech less dangerous
Yes.
and slow the spread
Speech
of
rules.
COVID-19.
I knew this was coming.
Yep.
Announcing the new rules, Health Secretary Matt Hancock said, during the first stage, or Tier 1, the consonant p will be banned and must always be replaced with the softer sound f.
Yes.
Anyone speaking to other people in a public place will have to stop using the plosive sound. Failure to do so could lead to a fine or even prison. The whole population, even members of Parliament, will all have to play their part in this. After a period of a few weeks, we will move to Tier 2. Tier 1 rules will continue to apply. In addition, the sound t will be banned and must be replaced by the sound n.
Nah.
Although this may cause some initial confusion, for example, Nietzsche's in schools will face challenges when Nietzscheing the Nenheim's navel, we are confident any problems will be temporary, and measures under Near Nu will help learn the night of this pandemic. After a further brief period, we will bring in near 3.
Near 3.
The rules under nears 1 and nu will continue, with the addition of the sound k being banned, to be replaced by l. We have considered these measures carefully, in line with recommendations from professors at Cambridge University. These new rules will apply not only to English, but also to other languages spoken in this country, including Nerlish, Polish, Portuguese, and Italian. I urge people to neep narm and narry on. Together, we now conquer the COVID pandemic and return to normality in no time at all. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Hey,
That is good.
you know why that's not funny? It's because
They're giving them ideas.
I know. That's exactly right.
don't do that.
I hope my city council don't watch this video.
Oh my goodness! You know,
Wow.
Everybody needs
But-
to flay their fart.
the reason why I mean it's kind of funny, but you know what happens is you go insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is
Have you read That Hideous Strength yet?
No, he hadn't.
It's not that I haven't read it; it's that I fall asleep while reading it because I have the audiobook. But the first 4 chapters, or should I say, the first chapter read 4 times is really good. It's.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I'm working on it.
Because I'm not even gonna tell you, but I'm just gonna say, you guys know about That Hideous Strength?
Yes.
And do you know about the Babel scene? Yeah.
There's a Babel scene.
That's all. Okay.
You just not going. Okay, you just gonna leave it like that.
This is
All
gonna.
right,
this
I
is
see.
it. We got to reach to the end.
Read this weekend.
Yeah. That Hideous Strength. Then we can be friends again.
Well, that's coming to the U.S. I mean, that's.
It's only a matter of time.
It's that wave. It's that
Right.
UK British wave.
No. That
You know.
insanity is already here. It's
Yeah.
not coming. That insanity is what's here.
I just hope my governor and my city council don't catch that
There-
video. And
there's-
get some ideas.
There's no logical reason for them not to
I just hope my Liddy Lounsel doesn't get this video.
flay their fart.
That is hilarious.
So, hey, Time Magazine.
Yeah.
Person
of the year.
Person.
No, it's person.
Persons of the year.
It's only one person.
do they identify as a
It
person?
is kind of one person. Joe Biden
No,
and Kamala Harris.
It's Joe Harris.
Joe Harris.
Kamala Biden.
There we go. It's more like Kamala Biden.
Kamala Biden.
Yeah, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. The runner-up was my pet rock.
Was it really?
Yeah,
What
because my rock did almost as much as they did this last year.
what did Babylon B name Time Person of the Year?
I don't know.
Was it Karen or something?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Karen.
I don't think
can't quite
it
remember.
really doesn't matter, but I'm trying to figure out, like, who cares?
And nobody cares.
But here's the deal: is like Biden's been in office for 47 years in some sort of political office, 47 years, and I was just thinking, like, Time Person of the Year and all the kind of racist things he said over the years. Remember, we talked about this.
No,
he said Biden said Romney. He said Mitt Romney when Mitt Romney was running for president. He said Mitt Romney's going to put black people back in chains.
I remember that, actually. I was like,
That was unbelievable.
he is a Mormon.
Ooh. And they said, remember, Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, but I don't take my marching orders from Biden, so he don't get to
No.
tell me nothing.
I don't know, Gabe. I actually think that, on second thought, I think they're right. I think we are a senile old man.
Yeah.
Right, they
I mean,
represent
that's
us
true.
rightly.
I think he represents us well.
true.
I
Yeah,
think, it's like,
absolutely.
probably his person of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I was Kamala, I'd been like, man, I gave him the black vote. How come I'm not first in this video, in this magazine? My picture should be first.
Yeah.
He said back in the 70s, if you don't have an orderly school integration, you're going to create, quote, a racial jungle.
Oh.
Back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's got to be orderly, or you're going to end up with a racial jungle for his kids.
You know.
Can we stop with the Biden stuff? I don't really care.
Yeah,
what
no,
Biden has to say.
Well,
I don't
we
care.
going to be caring January 20th.
No, I'm not.
I'm not going to be Karen.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to be Karen. I'm not going to be Laren.
Flaren.
If y'all can keep y'all coronaviruses to
Yeah,
yourself.
Keep the plosives down.
Plosives.
Chinese flight attendants are being told to wear diapers while in the air.
And this is not just face diapers.
This is not. There's no Babylon B in China either. So this ain't funny.
Well, they lost
They're,
their sense
they're
of
being
humor.
told to wear
No,
diapers
like
on
literally.
flights.
Why?
So they wouldn't go to the bathroom and then touch everything and just keep spreading the virus.
Oh
So, flight
my! Oh
Wait.
my! What? My goodness.
So are people who travel being told to wear diapers too, or is it just the flight attendants?
Just the flight attendants so far, not the people.
This is another one of those things. We should not share this with anybody in
I
America.
think I was going to say,
People-
like,
I mean, again, the plosive thing is a joke right now.
yeah,
We think.
yeah.
But the diaper thing's not a joke.
But
No,
it should
this
be.
is New York Post, man. They're reporting on this.
Babylon B is,
And I mean,
kids having a hard time to
this
write stuff.
really raises the stakes with the whole Hunter Biden thing.
Yeah.
It's not just, the communists have their hooks in us, but they might be making people wear diapers on planes.
So what are they going to have to do if they take? They have a movement and they use their diaper. They
Oh, that kind of
You just kind of walk around.
and
Really?
what do they do with it? Do they walk around stinking?
At the end of the flight, then you change.
Have we thought this through? I'm just asking if we thought this through yet.
That's a reasonable question.
So where
That's
wait,
a
wait.
reasonable question.
Where are they going to go to take off their diapers? Have we thought this through? I'm just asking a question here.
Actually, I want to blame you for part of this. Because there have been a few shows in which I have been a little bit
Like if you can smell your farts, then you can't.
that-
Your mask won't work against
that
diapers.
one. That one. That's one of them. And then the other one was that's like cleaning something
poopy
with
water.
Poopy water.
Yes. Yeah.
That bothers Toby's sensibilities.
But it's true.
But now it's coming true.
yeah.
Yep.
Like that was a metaphor.
Yep.
I'll stop with
That
metaphors.
was a metaphor. that was not for real.
Yeah.
But now it's
That's what
kind
they're
of for
doing.
real. But I think actually all metaphors come true.
Oh no.
I think they do. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a sense. I mean, you.
In the beginning was the word.
I mean, this is why pronouns matter.
Yeah, that's right.
This is why language matters because when you begin telling lies, you begin living lies.
That's Romans 1 though.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and you can't dishonor. You can't. This is why hatred in your heart really is murder.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
which
right.
is why lust in your heart really is adultery.
Yeah.
Because
That's
what
right.
you're beginning there, as a man thinks, he is.
Yeah.
so he'll act.
Yeah, he acts,
Yep.
and so this is what you can't be sort of metaphorically cleaning things with poopy diapers and then not end up with flight attendants.
That's not
that-
gonna. So do you think it's gonna get worse? Of course, whatever they're doing there, whatever the situation, when they actually work this out,
Yeah.
they're not thinking these people are insane.
No, they really are flaying their farts.
Poopy vipers.
You done?
It's not even kidding. It's not even kidding.
Hey, we got to turn. We got to actually have a little serious note here.
What?
On this?
No. No serious notes.
If you guys remember Representative Eric Swalwell,
Never heard of her.
him.
Oh,
Eric.
Swalwell.
I can't say his last name very well. Swalwell.
Please no.
Ooh.
Please no plosives.
Yeah, no plosives. He ran for president back in 2016, right?
I remember this guy.
and he has been on the intelligence committee also as representative as congressman.
Okay.
And in 2018, he was going all over the place regarding Trump's kind of Russia collusion stuff.
Okay.
And here's a bunch of clips on this.
Russia attacked our democracy this past election. And then they showed up to his Trump Tower, offered the evidence to his family. They received it. They didn't turn it down. Donald Trump for years had been working with the Russians. He brought people on his campaign who had ties to the Russians. We have seen a candidate and a president who has spoken in very flattering ways about Vladimir Putin.
All of the arrows continue to point to a personal, political, and financial relationship that Donald Trump had with the Russians.
okay.
So
okay.
here's all this evidence I'm including with Russia. Well, anyways, it came out Axios, which is really a liberal reporting website.
Okay.
Kind of blew the story that apparently Eric Caldwell was sleeping with a Chinese
Flawwell.
with a Chinese. He was sleeping with a Chinese spy back in 2014 and 15.
Oh.
And so what?
Adultery will get you every time.
Yeah, well, I don't even know. I mean, he's married. I don't even know. if he's
Fornication.
married. Yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. He got it.
It's somebody. Yeah, it's not his wife.
And apparently, this is as it's coming out kind of stuff. Apparently, Nancy Pelosi knew about the spy. Apparently, a number
What?
of
Where was this philandering going on? Where is this in America or is he in China?
No, the girl is
he's here
here
in the U.S.
She's a
She's
Chinese-
a spy, so she was actually building relationships with other mayors and other politicians
And congressmen.
and congressmen.
Yeah.
And-
Building relationships.
Yeah, yeah. And the FBI actually tipped off Swalwell. Yeah. Eric tipped off Eric that she was a Russian spy, and I think that's how the
You mean Chinese spy
the Chinese spy,
or whatever,
Chinese spy.
So she's a double agent now.
Yeah, no, she's Chinese spy. So the FBI calls his office and alerts, like, hey, this is a Chinese spy. And so I think that's she fled the U.S. and went back, and as things were being uncovered.
So we actually identified that she really is a spy, and he was sleeping with her.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they haven't confirmed the sleeping thing, but they have video evidence of some mayors sleeping with her because they're surveilling her. It's unbelievable. And at the same time, he's getting geared up to run for president and all this, and then a year or two later, he's charging Trump with collusion.
Right. He's doing a little bit more than collusion.
Yeah, a little. You think?
So is he still in his role as a representative? Or?
Well, so now they're talking about removing him from his at least role on the Security Council. Security
talking about removing
on the Security Council. We're talking about
removing him.
Yeah.
That's all we doing?
This is.
Have they thought this through? I'm just asking.
Well, the
for
Democrats
a second.
are defending him.
People don't understand.
Yeah, you heard that.
Say that one more time.
Democrats are defending him.
So does Nancy Pelosi? She knew about this, and she said he's out.
So they all kind of found out about it, I think, because she became a known spy within the ranks.
Pretty sure Pelosi says she has complete confidence in the guy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Trump just would have shook this girl's hand?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Biden would have sniffed her hair.
I'm just wondering, why they would have thrown Trump under the bus.
People don't understand too that the Bible's morality, sexual code in particular, has political ramifications.
Absolutely.
This is why we want to do one of our conferences on the politics of sex.
Yeah, right.
And because it's not just God making rules and saying you can't sleep with those people because that's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad because of its ramifications for society.
Yeah.
It destroys human lives. It destroys communities. It destroys churches. It destroys nations. It's not an accident that Samson's brought down by a prostitute.
Through sex.
Through sexual sin. It's not an accident that Solomon is brought down through his many wives and concubines.
Right. David.
And all the rest.
Yeah, that's right.
Sex is political, and either you are building a kingdom that will stand or a kingdom that's going to fall.
Yeah, and you can't forget, too, also it goes along with the nature of God. He's faithful.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
He's a faithful.
He is a covenant-keeping God.
Absolutely right.
And if we want to have a covenant-keeping nation, we need to be covenant-keeping people.
And we're going to talk about one of America's covenants, the Constitution. Coming up next with Mike. How do you say his name?
Michael Peroutka.
Peroutka.
No. It's Fruitka. No, it's Frula.
Okay, that's enough. That's it. More cross politics coming up next. I just want to hear Gabe say his name.
When a medical need arises, hundreds of thousands of Christians across the nation care for one another by sharing financially for those medical needs. Samaritan members pray and reflect God's love and care by providing for one another. While times continue to change, God's love doesn't. He cares for us as we are called to care for one another.
Hey.
Supreme all across the union.
Across the union.
Constitution, the founders agreed we would need a solution.
Welcome to Cross Politics, where we're going to talk about the Constitution.
While we break dance.
Is that what we're going to do? My kids told me that breakdancing is apparently an Olympic sport now.
Yes.
In France.
Is that right?
Oh, just in France?
Well, I think France is pushing for it because they started breakdancing.
What is happening to our world?
Good things.
Apparently.
It's post-mill, man.
Hey, with us on the line right now, we're thankful to have Mr. Michael Peroutka. He's a Maryland lawyer, the founder of the Institute on the Constitution.
There you go.
Once held a position in the United States Department of Health and Human Services, was the Constitution Party candidate for president in 2004.
Oh, so we can call him the office of president-elect.
Yeah.
Michael.
He's co-host
that's good.
the American View radio program. In 2014, he became a Republican and won election to the County Council of Anne Arundel County, Maryland, representing District 5. And also, we did have him on video for a couple of minutes, and we saw that he can dance.
He was dancing to the Constitution. Yeah. I think that's his favorite song.
Hey, Mr. Peroutka, thank you for joining us on Cross Politic.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And while you've begun this way in this fashion, with the musically, let me if you don't mind, please let me go off the radar here and tell you that if you Google "courts cannot make law"
Okay.
and my name, Courts Cannot Make Law, and my name, Michael Peroutka, you'll find my musical contribution to this subject matter.
All right. All right.
Okay, I'm looking.
We're
Maybe you make that an outro on the way out.
We're looking it up right now. So,
right, it's my imitation of Buddy Holly.
Oh, all right. Well, you got on our radar. I mean, obviously, you should have been on our radar. I don't know, decades ago, apparently, but. Months ago, we saw some of your work on the constitutionality or lack thereof of all the lockdown orders coming down in the states related to the COVID. And so I want to start by just asking you, have the lockdown orders and mask mandates been legal and constitutional?
No, they're absolutely not legal, and they're totally unconstitutional. And every attempt by those falsely in positions of authority to justify them all turn back their circular reasoning, if you will, and they turn back and just use the emergency procedures themselves as a justification for themselves. Mm-hmm. In my state of Maryland, and other states may have similar, but in my state of Maryland, there is Article 44 of our Declaration of Rights, which is part of our Constitution. In most states, the Declaration of Rights is the first part of the Constitution. In Maryland, it's called the Maryland Declaration of Rights. Article 44 says that the provisions of this Constitution and of the Constitution of the United States apply equally as well in times of war as in times of peace, and no violation thereof is allowed either under a plea of necessity or any other plea. So it's precisely on point, and it couldn't be more on point. That you can't use there's nothing that justifies violating the Constitution. When you hear people on the TV, usually that the constitutional experts, if you will, or the lawyers that they bring on to the TV, they usually talk about some kind of balancing test, and they use words like least restrictive means and compelling state interest and blah blah blah. All of those things are a false pretext. There is the word balance is not in the First Amendment or the Fifth Amendment.
Are we kind of up a creek historically on this? I mean, it seems like as I learn more, we've been giving up our rights and freedoms to the government. I mean, for a while when it comes to health and safety issues and emergency powers. I mean, aren't a lot of the precedents in terms of the rulings against us?
Yes, but that's interesting. That's true. We have been sacrificing, and I'm sure you're familiar with the different quotations by different of our founders saying that if you give up security for safety, if you give up liberty, for security, then you deserve neither. And yes, we've been doing that. But the fact remains that and by the way, that's why we started Institute on the Constitution 20 years ago, because there's a dearth of understanding of either biblical principles which undergird our Constitution and our jurisprudence, or the Constitution itself. So if somebody wants to be qualified for office, they have to know the biblical principles, and by the way, demonstrate that they're willing to live by them.
Right.
And they also have to know the Constitution and demonstrate that they're willing to live by it. And we have not been electing those kinds of people for a long, long time. And you'd have to say maybe that's because we haven't been that kind of people for a long, long time.
Right. So what parts of the Constitution are you most eager to teach Christians? Like, if you could point to certain things and say, Christians, you've got to know this. This is crucial for you to know, given 2020, given where we are in the world right now.
Well, probably one very interesting thing, the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question, is the whole idea of separation of church and state, which has, for about 75 years, we have been force-fed a false idea of separation of church and state. Mm-hmm. That is to say, when Jefferson wrote that in his letter to the Danbury Baptists, he was assuring, this is in 1802, he was assuring them that there was a wall of separation, and what he meant was that the state, what they were concerned about was that the state was going to interfere with religion.
Right.
And he said, no, there's a wall of separation, and that will prevent that. Well, in 1947, I think it was in Everson, I'm not remembering the name of the case, excuse me. So ever since 1947 and in subsequent cases, the Supreme Court has been telling us the opposite meaning of that. Mm-hmm. telling us that there's a separation of church and state, and that means that biblical principles and godly information can't be discussed in the public square. That's exactly backwards. What we face today in 2020, to your question, is exactly what the Danbury Baptists were worried about, and exactly what Jefferson said will never happen. He was saying, no, there's a wall of separation. So when some governor seeks to tell you how many people you can have in your church or how you can give out communion or et cetera, he is violating the correct understanding of that principle. There is a separation of church and state because God has given them two different jobs to do, but he has ordained them both. So there's a separation in terms of their function, but there's no separation of God from either one of them.
Right.
How do we? So right now, there are sheriffs and health officials that are going to people's businesses who are stepping on their constitutional right to actually work, and they're sitting there with the law on their side at these businesses, forcing them to shut down and to close down and to stop working. How do we practically operate in our constitutional rights, knowing the law is actually on the other side right now? Just like it seems like with the separation of church and state, the law is actually on the other side right now with that too.
Well, what do you mean by law is on the other side? You mean
the guys with the guns.
The cultural understanding of how the law is being applied right now in these mask mandates.
Right. Well, that's why the work, and maybe you've had him on your show, the work of Sheriff Richard Mack is so important with what's called the CSPOA, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. I attended a conference in Virginia. It was on the last day of September of this year, where there were 80 or so sheriffs there, and and I had the privilege of addressing them, and along with other sheriffs that addressed them. And the point is to try to get them to understand that they need to defend their proper role, and they're the chief legal officer of their county, and their proper role is to defend citizens against this unlawfulness, not to be part of the unlawfulness itself. And I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Mack and his work, but I strongly support him. And Institute on the Constitution has done a lot of different work with the Constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officers Association. It's very, very important to try to get sheriffs to understand. And look, the sheriffs, in many cases, even sometimes want to do the right thing, and they don't know the right thing to do. There's just a dearth of understanding of their own job.
Are you aware of any lawsuits that are working, that are happening, that are where victories are occurring regarding mask mandates and shutdowns?
I'm not. I can't give you any silver bullet, but I know that Chuck Baldwin up in Montana is working. There's a lawsuit being brought against that. I think his name is Bullock. Is that the governor in? I get him confused. In Montana. Okay. In my state of Maryland, we've gotten some legislators together to bring impeachment actions against the governor. And as a matter of fact, I couldn't get somebody to draft them, so I drafted the articles of impeachment myself, and they're on my Peroutka Town Hall website. You can find them there, and a letter to send to your delegates, encouraging them to bring the articles of impeachment against the governor. They can be adapted to any state. And by the way, if anybody wants to help in adapting them to your state, I'd be happy to do that. The way I developed them was that there's 6 articles of impeachment. I probably could have used 16 different sections from the Maryland Constitution, but I chose 6. And the misuse of police power, the denial of the separation of powers. Almost every state constitution, gentlemen, has a separation of powers clause. I'm sure everyone does. Every constitution has a separation of powers clause, basically saying that a principal actor in one branch of government can't do the functions of another government. That is to say, specifically, laws are made by legislators,
right?
And courts don't make law. That was what my song was about.
Yeah.
But executives, county executive governors don't make law either.
Right.
They don't have that franchise. and the legislature can't give him the authority either. A lot of times, the justification is, well, the legislature gave me the authority. Well, the legislature can't give you the authority that it doesn't have.
Right.
Legislatures don't have the authority to violate the Constitution either. I can't give you his car because it's not mine to give.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's really helpful. Yeah, we've just talked to a sheriff in Idaho here. There's one sheriff out of 44 counties in our state. One sheriff has stood up boldly and said, I'm not going to enforce these unconstitutional laws.
Yeah.
And I know we have a few in our state legislature that are trying to reel in our so-called Republican governor. But man, it's hard even in Idaho to get people to obey the Constitution.
Let's put this in a bigger context, if we could, gentlemen, because I think we need to do that. The reason this is happening is because we're at war.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there is a war against the American constitutional republic that is taking place. The signs of it are everywhere. The violence in the streets, the abdication of responsibility on the part of governors and mayors to quell disturbances in their jurisdictions,
right.
The lootings, the riots, the arson, the whole COVID hoax, which is a hoax. Mm-hmm. It has been used to foster this way of voting, this mail-in ballots, which has led to all this election fraud, et cetera, et cetera. So the way I see it, there's a war going on, and this is hard to get your mind around, but the governors of our states are complicit. They are enemy combatants, either out of a hatred for the American system, or their own self-aggrandizement, their own evil, or their hatred for Donald Trump, or wherever it's coming from. The violence that they've done to the Constitution, and in my state, the violence that Larry Hogan has done to our Constitution, go back before the Declaration of Independence, and they go back before the existence of the state of Maryland. He's actually denied and done violence to principles that are in the Magna Carta. I mean, this is 800 years, 700 years of jurisprudence that is being attacked. So I think we have to see this as all part of a bigger plan. I don't mean to scare anybody, but I think it's time to wake up that we are under siege and there's a war going on, and these things are all part of a plan.
So speaking of all the voter fraud, you just mentioned that a minute ago. What do you make of the Texas lawsuit before the Supreme Court?
It's brilliant. It is in fact brilliant, and it's more brilliant than I even first thought. First of all, one of the things that makes it one of the problems here is time.
Yeah.
Because time is running out. Because as of January 20th, Donald Trump will not be the president of the United States, no matter what. His term expires.
Right.
So I mean, he could be reinaugurated. That'd be one thing, but his term expires. So time is running out. So the idea of a state bringing the action like Texas has done is brilliant, because the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is in effect here. So it goes right to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So that's the time statement. Another big advantage to it is that one of the reasons these kinds of cases are denied or dismissed is that they say you don't have standing. And one of the things that the Texas case has done, in addition to making the claim that the Texas voters have been disenfranchised because these other states couldn't get their act together and couldn't do it lawfully and legally for a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, the state of Texas, in their brief, claim that they are deprived itself, because while many people are concerned about the election of the president, the election of the vice president, who's elected vice president, is very important to the states, because the vice president is the tiebreaker in the Senate.
Right.
Ooh. So the states have the states themselves, forgetting their own people, the states themselves have an interest. So that particular problem is, I think, brilliantly solved by this lawsuit. And the fact that 17 other states have jumped in and joined Texas in this, and it was 17 last time I checked. I don't know if there's any more. That is very encouraging as well. I think that this case will be very determinative of what's going to happen here. And I don't think a lot of people on the media, you can't trust the media very much, but a lot of people try to tell you, well, the court will never take it. It's there. They won't touch it. I think they have to, and I'm hopeful that they will. And I don't see how they can do anything but vote, but give the relief that's requested.
So I follow a number of people online. This is one gentleman, senior scholar of public theology at the Center for Cultural Leadership. He says he read through the Pennsylvania response to the Texas lawsuit. He says he read the whole thing. It's savage. Get ready for a SCOTUS 9-0 dismissal. Have you read the Pennsylvania response, or are you familiar with it? And what do you think of his take?
I'm sorry, I have not, and I don't know who he is, but I believe that's typical of what the media is going to tell you. The media is going to tell you there's no hope, you're done, you're defeated. I mentioned that we're at war. I think what comes to us through the media is like drinking from the keg of the other guy's propaganda.
Yeah.
And that's what we're faced with most media. Media is just full of naysayers and people that say you don't have a chance, you don't have a chance, you don't have a chance.
But Michael, I mean, what are the odds that the Supreme Court is going to even rule on this? I mean, we just experienced 8 months of Black Lives Matter, Antifa violence, and those judges know if they rule against Antifa and Black Lives Matter, their houses will experience that same violence. I mean, the courage that it would take,
the courage it would take to rule against Biden.
Yeah, I mean,
right. Well, what you're saying there, I think, if I could just paraphrase it a different way, what you're saying is the war is going to be dangerous, so let's not fight it.
Yeah.
And that's what the Supreme Court is facing. We're going to find out who they are.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm encouraged about, gentlemen, is who our president is, because I don't think he's going to let him have it. And I think that no matter what the court rules, I think there's I'm going out a little bit on a limb here, but no matter what the court rules, I believe the president has a path to solve this problem. It might be difficult, but even outside of the court. I don't know if you're familiar with Section 256 of Title 10.
No.
But it's what a lot of people call the Insurrection Act, and it gives the president. I'm actually fumbling through my papers here to find it. I'm sorry, but if you Google Section 253 of Title 10 of the U.S. Code, I got it here. It says this. It says the president, by using the militia or the armed forces, or both, or by any other means, shall take such measures as he considers necessary to suppress in a state any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy, if it does one or the other of two things, and if it so hinders the execution of the laws of that state and of the United States within the state, that any part or class of its people is deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution, such as the franchise of voting, and secured by law, and the constituted authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right, privilege, or immunity, or to give that protection. And then the second thing is, if an unlawful conspiracy or combination opposes or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States or impedes the course of justice under those laws. And so what I'm suggesting to you is, whatever the court does, the president doesn't need the court to lawfully, constitutionally, legally take this action on his own.
So, Mr. Peroutka, just to push back, there have been, 50 some odd suits brought about voter fraud, and to my knowledge, I don't believe
none of them gained any traction.
Any of them have gotten any traction in any of the courts. What does that mean? That it like the conspiracy and the blindness is really that widespread? I mean, it just seems like such a stretch to say 50 different suits and none of them have gotten any traction on voter fraud.
Actually, I'm not sure that that's totally true, but let me just give you that point.
Yeah.
And what I'm suggesting is, I believe the president has not only does he have this avenue I believe he has the duty to defend us. See, this, in a sense, gentlemen, this is kind of federalism turned on its head, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
What we are usually thinking about is a central government that has aggrandized power to itself, and we need the states or the local governments to interpose on our behalf.
Yeah.
That's the usual way we think about this federalism type question.
Right.
But this is a different situation where the states are the rogues. Many of the states and the governors of the states, in collusion, are taking action, and I'm going to call them enemy combatants against our form of government. I believe our president not only has this path, I believe he has this duty.
Yeah.
I believe he has the duty to interpose on our behalf against our own governors and our own local leaders, if in fact they are part of this conspiracy.
Right, and I guess that's the question, though. Is the reason I raised the 50 lawsuits is that it seems like
where's the conspiracy?
I mean, maybe he's aware of more information, or maybe you're aware of more information than I am. But I see a lot of stuff that looks weird. It looks funny. It looks strange. I'm highly suspicious. All that is true, but I don't have proof at my fingertips that enough votes were actually overturned or switched or whatever. I don't have that proof. And ordinarily, judges look at the proof and say, yeah, there was fraud. And my point is just, so we can't just assume that there was fraud and then say, so Trump can take over the government or Trump can do something extreme. We have to prove that that's happened some way, right?
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right. That it and I think what's happened in the last few weeks to uncover that fraud is pretty clear as far as I'm concerned. That it's widespread, and as a matter of fact, the Texas case goes into detail. The Texas lawsuit goes into detail about that, and I encourage people to read that. But let me add this point as well. Yes, the president needs that kind of background, but and backup, if you will, but only, in my view, only to satisfy public opinion. He doesn't have to satisfy a court with that. And again, I direct you to Section 253 of Title 10, which is basically which is lawful as far as I'm concerned, because it follows the final clause of the 14th Amendment. Which says that the Congress can pass legislation to enact the purposes of that amendment.
So, okay.
And they have done that, and that's what I just read from.
So you're saying that Congress has validated the ability for the president to enact Article 10?
Yeah, Title 10,
Title
Section
10.
253. Yes, they have.
Can you for me, because I don't know, when have they done that?
The sites here, I can send you these sites, or I can give them to you. But there are various public laws and statutes. August 10th, 1956, Chapter 1041. These are written kind of in legalese here, and it's difficult to. But there are various statutes that have been passed. Various public laws passed by Congress.
Yeah, so I guess part of my question is that, if this is going to happen, let's say that the president decides to do this, who's going to validate this? Because our founding fathers have always set up some sort of checks and balances, so somebody just doesn't go and do something apart from the rest of the country or the rest of some other power inside of our country of validating it. So I would at least want Congress to validate that what the president is doing now, he's justified in some sense. He can do that. This is where I'm agreeing with Toby. We want some, because if this is the truth, any president can just say, "Hey, you know what? I don't think this state
section.
This is a very scary section. Hey, I don't like the way this state is operating. They're so conservative,
used really wrong,
and there's no checks and balances for this Title 10 to be used."
I don't actually disagree with you on that point. I think it is very, very sweeping, and I would call it a nuclear option, if I could. It's absolutely a nuclear option. But my point is this: he's the commander in chief, and if in fact you accept the premise that we are at war, then when are you going to use a nuclear option? Yeah. When are you not going to use it?
Civil war. Civil war.
That's a civil war
move.
And that's what he would make the case. Have to make the case that exists. But I think in the hearts of many, or not forget the hearts. I think in the minds of many people, and the hearts. I think that this is what we have to face. That this is occurring now. I'm not trying to sound like a. I'm quoting you a statute passed by Congress and a section of the United States Code that gives him. It says the president, by using the militia or armed forces or both, or by any other means, shall take such measures as he considers necessary. Okay, so it doesn't provide that there. In other words, you talk about checks and balances, and I guess what I'm saying is this is the check and the balance against what's happening.
Well, then it's scary who's at the top on that. So, Mike, where can we read more about what you're doing and how to follow you in this process? I'm on Institute on the Constitution, which you can get to by Institute on the Constitution by Googling that, or The American View, and also I'm on something called Peroutka Town Hall, and we talk about these matters all the time. We try to make the biblical and constitutional applications to the events of the day.
Wow.
All right. Hey, Mike, thank you for joining us, man. I'm going to tell you, I hope you're wrong as all get out. I do not want to be in a civil war. All right, Mike, thank you for joining us. More Cross Politics when we come back.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.
Constitution.
Oh, now you're gonna play it.
Well, I couldn't find his song.
Now you're gonna play it out.
Constitution. The founders agreed we would need a solution.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, we're going to stop that right now.
How do you like
Fresh
those
Start.
Fight Laugh Feast tumblers, man?
I love these. I don't even get me started on this lovely. This is not like print. Like this ain't. No, this is
That's
sketch.
etched.
This
That's
etched. This is.
Yep.
You can't look at it. Look at it.
How do you get one of those?
Gabe.
You got to be a club member, become a club member, silver or above, to get one.
They're so worth. This is still hot.
Yep.
This
And
is still hot.
I'll do my best to try to ship them all out before Christmas.
Still
But next 150 club members is dwindling. Get a Fight Laugh Feast tumbler.
I don't know.
It's just money.
The cross politic coffee in this tumbler. There's just something different about it. It's like it's like blessed.
How come you didn't put my coffee in my tumbler?
Knox just grabs a tumbler and then he just puts stuff in it.
Just put it in my
Gabe
cup.
said we can actually have these tumblers.
That wasn't even his tumbler, and he just put stuff in it.
Hey, we're going to go to civil war anyway. I don't care. You want to go to war over this? We can go to war. We could go to war.
That interview kind of made me a little mad.
Why?
Well,
why are you mad? Gabe, you're kind of always mad.
These last 2 days.
Why,
Do you want to go to war?
I was talking to my wife on the phone yesterday about the mask stuff and everything. She's like, "Calm down. Stop raising your voice at me. I'm on your team."
Let's take the red. Let's take
She's
the
like-
red bomb
she's like,
away.
"Don't-
The red button away from Gabe.
Don't
right
be
now.
frustrated with me.
That's what we say to you too.
Gabe is with
calm
Mike.
down.
Annie, we're with you.
So my
We're
wife,
with you.
my wife had to come in. I'm like, "Sorry, baby.
Gabe,
I'm just
calm down.
I
Gabe
just
is with
saw
Peroutka
our
over there.
governor.
We are on your team.
The governor.
We are
exactly.
on your team.
My wife's like, "I agree with you. I agree. Stop acting like I don't agree with you."
Yeah.
So,
Anyways.
Mr. Peroutka, what'd you say?
What's that?
You just
You want to go to war? You want to go to war?
Well, we talked a little bit offline. You talking about my critical theory stuff?
Say it.
Okay,
Come on,
so
a little back.
we talked about 5 minutes after we got off, and he gave me some pushback, and I appreciate.
Yeah.
Listen,
First of all, it's great.
I love the pushback
Yeah.
because I don't agree with him necessarily.
I know.
I feel like in one sense he's operating.
I feel like I'm teetering on the edge.
And we can. Yeah, I know. Okay, so this is This is going to be so good.
I don't want to be where he is.
I just want to put some caveats real quick. I like the guy. I like him a lot.
yeah.
Don't get me.
And remember, he's taking the Bible and he's trying to apply it to our world
Absolutely.
and politics, which is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And unlike the left, unlike cancel culture, we want to have conversations with people who might be wrong or might have some things right and some things wrong.
Yep.
And that's part of the conversation.
Absolutely. He's going down this way, and I'm going down this way too, and he's just like a lot further down the road than I am.
Well, because you said at the end, I hope we're not there. I hope you're wrong.
I hope you're wrong, and I hope we're not there to Civil War.
Well, specifically, Civil War.
I hope
You're
we're not
you're
at
wrong
Civil War.
Yeah.
And he's saying we're in a Civil War.
Yeah, he told me we got. Yeah, you can forget it. We're already in the middle of a Civil War. You don't recognize it. And so I think he's closer to where Antifa and Black Lives Matter are, but on the complete opposite side.
Are you cussing?
He probably thinks I just cussed him out. Where there's no other options. The institutions are completely destroyed. Everything that we have, we won't get a day in court. We won't get treated righteously. Everything is done away with, and now we just have to destroy the system. Right. And I'm saying, okay, now he's not where they are as far as practical application and worldview.
Here's
not
the
at all.
Here's the difference. I'm push back.
Okay.
I'm push back. I'm push back.
Yeah.
He is appealing to the Constitution, and he is appealing to the president to follow a particular provision in the statutory law.
Insurrectionist provision.
Right. Right. But I don't know what he would like. He's not actually calling for burning down.
So there's a
target.
I'm not saying it's exact identical
because they want to burn the whole thing down.
But I would be for certain sorts. Anyway, but yes,
what?
No, I didn't say nothing. When you
go,
you want to go to war because we could go to war. I'm for real.
Dripology.
So no, you're right. It's not a one-to-one parallel, and I'm not trying to make that parallel.
And in the Reformation tradition, the Protestant tradition, lesser magistrates, or in some cases just other magistrates, do have a role to play in the checks and balances against corruption and tyranny.
And I think those are still in place.
That's a difference, though, between Antifa and him.
I agree.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I agree.
I'm just trying to defend you.
I'm not making
Mike Peroutka.
I'm not making an absolute one-to-one. I'm saying that they're in the same place where they want to both do the same thing. They will both be happy in one sense with kind of going
let's
to
go to war. Let's get this over with.
Absolutely.
But there's a difference between appealing to a existing structure that has legitimate authority to do it.
And I think he's early.
And burning everything down.
Absolutely. But he's too quick to the button.
Sure.
Christine Nome can fight right now.
That's why I'm running back around the other side. Okay. And I'm saying I don't want to be where he's at.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. The too early part. I just want to be careful about.
But he's also been doing this for 20 years.
I mean, he's seen it. I want to be careful about painting him in the same exact place as Antifa.
Not exact same place, but if he hit the button, they'd be happy.
I don't know.
If he hit the button, institutions and everything's abolished, and we get to start a new America.
Do you think?
And whoever wins this gets the new America.
I don't think that's. I guess I'd still think. Again, we could have had Mike on for another segment.
I know.
And ask him what he would say.
Call Mike on.
Call him out. Get him back on.
I'm guessing though that's not true though. That I think Antifa wants us to steamroll everything. That's what Antifa wants. Black Lives Matter wants to steamroll everything. And they start all over. I don't hear him saying he wants to steamroll everything.
No.
And start all over.
No.
He's saying he wants the president to uphold the Constitution by using his sort of nuclear option to say this corruption is completely destroying our system.
I get that.
That's different, though, than the Antifa guys saying we're going to burn it all down and start over.
How'd that work 1860?
Well, a lot of people died. But here's my point, though, is that the whole order, though, wasn't burned to the ground.
It's kind of why we're where we're at right now.
Well, yeah.
The original America was burnt to the ground.
It got massively corrupted.
Mucked up, which is where we're currently at right now. You're fighting with yourself with this. I already know.
You got a point.
But here's the deal, and here's why I'm saying this. If we all had good sheriffs, game over. This wouldn't matter.
Oh yeah. If we had good citizens.
If we all had,
but then you got the people problem.
So I disagree with him that the institutions are so far gone that this even needs to be considered at this point. Right? What we have is
I want you to be right.
Well, okay.
I want you to be right.
So here, look,
I want him to be wrong.
There was a founders did their video of a year of the doc releasing just recently, last week. Yeah. And in that video, they were talking about all the things that they were going against, and they still haven't left the Southern Baptist Convention yet. They're still there. Mm-hmm. And someone in the comment thread said, these guys are great guys. They're fighting a good battle, but they're still giving their money to the cooperative program, and they're still a part of the SBC. And as long as you got guys like Moeller and Dever and all these other guys in Lehman a part of the SBC, nothing's going to change. And my response to him was, this is not the first time there's been giants in the land. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's always been giants in the land. And this goes back to Gabe talked about this a while ago. Why is it that Christians can build up something that's so great, the liberals come in, and then we let them have it, and then we leave and go build up something else? And I'm saying, guys, we're at the place where if God is doing what I think he's doing inside of Christian education, that's bubbling underneath all of this for the last 40 years. If we actually can get a little focus here on what we're doing here, and then by the time my son says, I watched what happened in Moscow when they had a police chief and sheriff and mayor and city council that wasn't honoring the Constitution or God, I'm going to law, going to learn how to do this thing and become a sheriff, become a mayor, become a representative to the state. And
become a pastor.
Become a pastor. And maybe it's my post-millennialism just dripping out, okay?
But you bleed post-mill.
But here, I'm not finished yet, because here's the deal. I have been black in America all my life. I'm going to put my black card out. And no matter what the situation has been, I know what it's like to be before judges and not get a fair shake. I know what it's like to get pulled over by the police officers and go to jail and not having a fair shake. I get all those things. And still yet, I'm saying I know that we can have godly men in these positions without the corruption of the institution on them. And we have sheriffs doing this right now. That's encouraging. And so I'm saying,
and here's another to come alongside you, not to completely push back, but also to keep in mind, Reformation is frequently very messy.
Right. Well,
and you can have on the one hand, it would seem like I don't even know really what I think of the nuclear option that Peroutka references.
Can I tell you the truth? I like. There's parts of me that's like,
my Texas roots is kind of like, but no, that's scary.
But let's just back away from that. Just sort of set that to the side. Reformation is messy. Reformation happens usually by God's grace and mercy on multiple levels.
Yeah.
You have ground roots, grassroots, Christian education, moms spanking bottoms.
Amen.
Right? Like teaching
Christian define tyrants.
Teaching their kids to love Jesus and to kill their flesh. No matter what. That's Reformation. That's Reformation. And Christian school teachers and this sort of grassroots, and you got pastors planting churches and discipling the people and teaching them to obey Jesus no matter what. And then you have sheriffs. And you have businesses who say, no, we're not going to close down. Come get us. No, we're not going to require the mask thing. No, come, fine us, whatever. And then you have city councils, and you have mayors, and you have senators, and you have representatives, and you have governors, and you have attorney generals. But there's it's not usually one place. It's usually pastors and teachers and parents and police officers and governors, and it's good, and it's scattered. But here's the other thing is, and sometimes it will be like you have a major showdown in one place, which doesn't have to mean then that the system burns down. It doesn't, and you can have places where you have showdowns. You can have places where something sort of blows up. I don't think it has to mean civil war. I don't think it has to mean that everything blows up. I think you can, and that's part of the. We're testing it right now majorly, but part of the brilliance of the American sort of experiment was this idea of basically having so many checks and balances and so many separations of power. It's kind of like,
except there.
Roman Catholics and Eastern Orthodox like to, some of their propaganda.
We're the true church.
We're the true unified church. Don't you want to be part of the true unified church?
And there's 18 different Roman Catholic denominations.
They have just as many denominations as Protestants.
Exactly.
And they've excommunicated each other, and they're not fellowship with one another, but they have this system where if you can kind of trace your lineage back to the Pope or to one of the patriarchs, ecumenical patriarchs, then you're part of the true church. Okay.
I was baptized by Paul. I was baptized by Paul.
Well, Protestants got that. We trace our lineage back to Jesus.
There you go.
But here's the thing. The American experiment is sort of like that in a sense where they wanted to spread out all the power and separate all the powers in the federal government, in the state government, down to the county government, down to the city government, including families, churches, businesses, associations. We, the people, are part of the checks and balances. And my point being, though, is just because one part pulls sort of a nuclear option, I'm not convinced that means that the whole thing has to come apart.
Well, I don't know how it doesn't.
Well, and kind of.
I don't know how it doesn't. But I want to, let me just.
I think it would send a tremor through the whole thing.
There's something that's really important I want to say about this. First of all, I want to say once again, because I'm a little I'm not saying that our guy Mike is Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying that stuff.
No,
I'm saying that there's something that they share bothers me. Right, the explosive button bothers me because that's what they want to do. They want to up in society, and that would do it too. That would do it. That would be a huge problem if President Trump did that. That would be a massive.
It would be. It would be massive. It would be massive.
The other thing too is that
I don't want you to hear me saying it's not massive.
Right.
It would be massive,
and it would restructure and redesign even the America that we currently have, what it would be and how it would act, how it would function. And if God decides that to happen, then it would be good in the end. I have no doubt about that. I'm sure all things work together. The creeds of God, his eternal purpose by his own counsel, he decides to do everything for his own will, right? He can do that.
Right.
But I also want to say this. This is very important. If it wasn't Trump, I might feel a little different about it. If it was Pastor Toby, up there with the button.
No, you don't want it to be me.
If it was Tom Askell, if it was godly men that I knew are being godly and not concerned about their own name and their own legacy, I might feel a little different about the nuclear option because they're thinking about what is it that we can do to glorify God with this right here. Right? Does this do it?
Okay.
Yeah. So I might feel a little different about that.
I hear you. Now, so just so
but Trump?
Yeah, I hear you. Now, just
when you guys are ready to let me in, you just let me know.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, tag.
No. I want somebody to go.
I want to change the subject.
Okay. Well, okay. This might change the subject a little bit
because I want to end on a better note.
Yeah. Well, let me take us to the better note then. I've like these last 2 days, you guys have kind of seen me around the office, and I've been kind of walking around with a little chip on my shoulder,
kicking our cardboard boxes.
I'm a little pissed.
Yeah, really.
If you haven't noticed,
no, really.
I watched our governor's.
Gabe, we're on your team.
I know.
We're on your team.
Calm down. I agree with you. Thank you, baby. And I watched our governor's press conference yesterday, and he trots out this 40-year-old guy who had the coronavirus and had a anomalous experience with the coronavirus. And then he brought out this nurse. Our governor brought out this nurse and talked about how one of her COVID patients had a 1.5-year-old daughter, and she came in, checked herself into the hospital because she had the COVID, and then never went home to see her 1.5-year-old daughter. She didn't live. It's super sad.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and just like how much fear our governor is driving into the people here in Idaho by pulling out these anomalous, 0.0001% experience.
You could do the exact same thing with the flu every year.
You could, exactly. You could do the exact same thing with, some sort of home, issue, brushing your teeth, whatever.
I think abortion is still legal in Idaho.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. How many babies have been murdered by their mothers?
Has he shown any pictures of those?
Yeah. And then I've been emailing back and forth with one of our city council members. I really appreciate her emailing back and forth. But then she emails me this last week and says, it's becoming clearer and clearer to me that any efforts I make to engage with someone who's opposed the mask mandates are futile and non-constructive, but I don't give up easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you guys arrested me. Mm-hmm. You guys didn't want to have a debate.
I thought this was going to be a happier note.
You guys, I'm getting there. You guys had me arrested.
Was this
because I wasn't wearing a mask?
Was this a public
servant?
Is a public servant,
and it's her job to listen to my grievances.
Okay.
And she's sitting here saying how futile it is to be able to have a conversation with a guy like me who disagrees with her on masks.
Shut up and obey.
I sent her 4 scientific studies on masks. She didn't read one. We're getting into this world where I can't even have a reasonable conversation with my own city council, and they have me arrested. So I've been, I've been reading through Psalms. I'm in Psalms, 72, 73, 74 right now, and God and a little, he's kind of feeding my anger a little bit in these Psalms, where David's talking about God like they're burning down your sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Leviathans are coming in and they're burning down your sanctuary. And my prayer life this week has just been like, God, why are you letting all this happen? Why are you letting our city council destroy our little town? All the businesses in downtown, I've every time I go into a business, I'm like, how's business been? And I pry, and they say, well, we're about 20, 30% down. Every business, I can name them off, the ones that I've talked to you about this.
But Gabe, we know why.
Why?
Because we're a wicked nation.
Yeah. Well, I think
we deserve worse.
Well, and here's
Ain't that the
I mean, I'm sitting here with no mask on, and nobody come arrest me.
Yeah.
They arrested you,
Yeah.
but we kill babies by the millions.
Yeah.
We celebrate sodomy.
Yeah.
We celebrate taxation at rates that is way over what the Tea Parties ever had to deal with.
that means we have a false idol. We've given them
We
a-
celebrate the mutilation of women and men and their bodies.
Yeah.
We are a wicked nation.
Yeah.
That's why. We deserve way worse.
Yeah.
We deserve to descend into utter chaos. We deserve to lose far more than we've even lost. That's a fact. We did this. We absolutely did this. And we've been doing it for decades.
Man.
The church does, I mean, we're closed down. Right? Most of the church doesn't even exist. Right? We deserve way worse than we even have it. Now, I don't think that means you'll just roll over and take it.
Yeah.
No, it means you get on your knees.
But you have, I mean, that's the answer to why.
Right.
The why is because we deserve it.
Yeah.
Right? We elected these idiots.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And they represent us well.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
We are these fools.
Yeah.
Look, take that back to the beginning. That's what I'm saying.
We are these fools.
That's right.
We
Right.
are these tyrants.
That's
I mean,
right.
The way,
So push the button on us.
Yeah.
The button that we need to push on us is the broken kneecaps.
Wait, that's
Sackcloth and
that's the
ashes.
nuclear button.
That's the
That's the
nuclear
nuclear
button.
button.
It is.
And because
That's
you're
right.
right. Because you're right. You're dead right. And that goes back to the beginning of our conversation. Look, there is a nuclear button. We do have a problem, but the problem isn't that nuclear button. We need to hit the one where,
There you go,
Lord,
Knox.
we have sinned against you in every way.
right. And I mean, the millions of professing Christians in this land. And we have just sat there taking it.
Yes.
You can kill our babies. You can
Because
indoctrinate
we're
our
giving
children. Yeah, and we've given it over and over again, which is giving away your freedom.
Yeah.
That's
Which
right.
is giving away, because you're giving away your responsibility. You're giving away those rights are rights to be responsible to those that God has called you to, and we've just given it away.
There's a little glimmer of hope, and so Psalm 74 and 73 are pretty heavy, but there's this glimmer of hope in the middle of Psalm 73 where David says, I walked into your sanctuary, I walked into your temple, and then I understood your enemies'
And you
ways.
can't do that on Zoom.
You can't.
Oh, bars.
But I walked into your sanctuary, and then I understood your enemies' ways.
That's right.
All of a sudden, when you the temple was on a mountain,
Yep.
and you could see everything, and that's what worship is. You go into God's house,
It's
and
on
you
Mount
can
Zion.
clearly see what God is doing in this world.
It's Mount Zion.
That's right.
It's your meeting in heaven.
Yep.
It's where God.
And you get 360 view.
It's the control
Yep.
room.
It's the 360 view.
Right. No, but we're not even going to church.
No.
No, everybody's scared to go to church. No, everybody's meeting online or even if that.
See, that scares me more than this other thing.
That's right.
That scares me because
That's right.
if you want to see what happens when a nation forgets God, well, we're in the process of that now. But and we've had some semblance in the sense that churches are still open on Sunday. Somebody can go who is dealing with sin, go to say, hey, Lord, forgive me. You have all your covenant renewal happening every week.
No.
But as soon as you take that away, now I'm like, ooh.
No. If God's blessing is gone on us, on the church, it's gone. Now there's pockets of places where I think God's blessing.
Yeah.
Pockets.
Yeah.
Tiny pockets.
Yeah.
But you look at this nation, the number of people who claim the name of Jesus is not with you. You know how I know that? Because you're getting chased by your enemies.
Yeah.
And there's fewer of them.
Yes, right? There's thousands of us, and we're being chased by 3 dudes in dresses.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
Right? And they're the ones chasing us. But the promise of God is that if he's with us, then nothing can stand against us. If he's with us, it's 3 of us chasing their thousands.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you look around, you're like, oh, no, God's not with us.
Yeah.
Now, and again, I think there can be individuals. I think there can be families. And when when God is with you because he's there standing with you and he's blessing you, he's protecting you, even in the midst of difficulty, even in the midst of trial, and your church is open, you're worshiping God on the Lord's day. But as a whole, corporately, culturally, he's gone.
One of the things
Glory has departed.
Ichabod.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed, and this isn't on, and I think it comes all the way down to this level, but it's not on the government level, but I think it's evident. Still, in my own home, when things get a little crazy or start to get out of order, I do 2 things. I'm saying, Lord, are you trying to test us so that we can be more faithful, or have I sinned? Have I sinned? Because right now things are really weird here, and they're not functioning the way that you've designed this to function. And the first thing that I see that goes is joy.
Yep.
Joy leaves, and
Yep.
things get going crazy, and you're like, what is?
Yep.
And the thing not to do in that moment is to start kind of pushing everybody, force, and you start forcing things to operate. The real thing to do,
not grace.
that's no. The real thing to do is like, Lord, I've dropped the ball somewhere. Let me go find myself a closet and repent real quick. Right. Grab my wife and say, babe, I don't know what's going on. Something's happened. Forgive me. Do we need to talk and reconcile things that might be there that I don't even know about? Yeah, something was bothering me. I need to talk to you. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow. And then I watch the restoration go all the way back out again. And I don't think that's completely lost yet. I think we're not doing it. I think we're just not repenting.
Right. Yep. We're in the gunk of guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And we despair.
Yeah.
And then it's like you just think this is normal. This is couples always fight.
Yep.
You just think this is normal. Like, well, at least we're still together.
Yeah.
We haven't divorced.
Right.
And
right.
We always
are Pharisees.
Yeah. We're Pharisees. Right. Right. We always argue at dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
The kids are always annoying.
Yeah.
No, that's not Christian
That's
joy.
not normal.
That's not Christian fellowship.
Yep.
That's not what a Christian home is like.
Right.
And if your home is not a happy place, if you're grabbing and shoving and barking orders, you're just like all the other states.
We're barking orders.
Right?
We can't.
You're a mask mandator yourself. right? You're
That's right, Tony.
locking down businesses by the way you treat your kids,
Yeah.
by the way you treat your wife, by the way you treat your husband.
Shut
if you
his mic off.
You walk around with grievances and bitterness in your heart.
That's right.
And fussiness and critical spirits.
Yep.
You are America.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And if you want America to be a happy place, a free place,
Yep.
well, then you better start in your own heart, and you better start in your own marriage and your own family. Make it a free place.
Amen.
Amen.
Right? Make it a place where grace is abundant,
Yep.
where people love being there together.
And where sin is dealt with.
It's not because, and that's the thing, is that people think, it doesn't mean people are perfect.
Yep.
It means you learn how to do the dishes.
That's right.
You learn how to take out the trash. You learn,
You learn how to die.
when you have two houses on the same block and you're 7 kids, and you walk into one and it's just a wreck.
Yeah.
And then you walk into the other one and it's clean. What's the difference?
They picked up.
In the one house, they know how to do the dishes. They know how to
Right.
pick up. It's not
Right.
like they don't make messes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just they know how to pick up. That's what Christians do. It's not that we don't sin.
The sins
It's
are the same, yeah.
It's what we do with the sin.
That's
Yeah.
right.
When you try to sweep it under the couch, when you try to sweep it under the rug, when you try to ignore it and put it in the magic dish bin, it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. You got to clean it, and you clean it with the blood of Jesus.
Come on.
Confessing and forgiving quickly.
One of the I know we're going to end here, but I just got to say this. What you just did was politics. And that's something that people don't get.
Yeah.
Politics isn't something that happens out there. It flows. What we see in the culture, what we see in politics is something that flows directly from how our homes are, that's the government that actually puts people into society,
Right.
into churches.
Yeah. This is one, I don't mean this as a weird plug, but that's the point of my book.
Yeah.
In No Mere Mortals.
Plug it.
Is the idea, though, that the reason why the household is so important, family is so important, is because that's where people are made.
That's right.
And people go on to be pastors and missionaries and evangelists. People go on to be fathers and mothers, husbands and wives. People go on to be governors, sheriffs, presidents, Supreme Court justices.
That's right.
And where are all these people coming from?
Yeah.
Families.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this on the...
And most of them fatherless families.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Most
we've
of
talked
them broken families.
And we've talked about this before on the show, where
That's
it
right.
should just be a numbers game. Christians should just easily be taking over states, nations, the world, because they're supposed to be fruitful.
Right.
Unbelief is unfruitful. Sodomy is unfruitful. All the things that non-Christians do lead to unfruitfulness.
Yeah, but we send all our kids to the
government schools, right?
schools for them to be discipled in a foreign religion.
Reformation and revival is easy.
Yes,
It should be easy,
Actually,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the nuclear option.
Yeah, yeah.
The gospel nuclear option
Yep.
is repentance.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you repent, God's Spirit works, and the outflow, the repercussions of repentance far outweigh the sin.
That's right.
Where sin has abounded, grace abounds
Amen, Toby.
way more.
Yes.
Right? Way more.
Yes, sir.
Grace is way more powerful than sin.
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
But we don't believe that.
That's right.
But you start by believing it in your family. Stop giving up. Stop despairing. Repent and watch God work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch God give you back your joy.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Watch God give you back a fellowship with your wife that you never thought you'd have.
Yeah.
Or with your kids.
Come on now.
Or your grandkids. Or your parents. Or your grandparents. And then watch God multiply that. Do it in the church.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a community. Work it out. confess your sins, forgive, obey Jesus, and then start working it out in your neighborhood and in your city.
Amen.
There's so much more I want to say to that. Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah. I'm encouraged. I feel better now. That chip.
Well, that's, when you're singing psalms and glorifying the Lord, go ahead, just sing your song every time you get angry. I'm going to sing a song every time Gabe gets angry. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. I like this organ. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Say it happier than that.
Merry Christmas.
Is that a horse?
The reason the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference is crucial is the combination of those words. Christians need to learn how to fight, they need to learn how to laugh, they need to learn how to feast.
The next Reformation, what will it look like? Probably a lot like what we're seeing here at this particular conference.
We need to say what the prophets said and do what the prophets did.
Jesus has said, every square inch is mine.
We need to be more combative than we are. We need to be more cheerful than we are. And we need to be more given over to celebration. The joy of the Lord is our strength.
As in all things, we start with the Word.
We need to use our entire toolkit. And I think that a lot of Christians, there are certain tools that they haven't traditionally used.
Jesus, when dealing with spiritually dangerous things, Jesus tells the truth in hard ways. He used a serrated edge.
We're on a field of battle, and we fight until the king relieves us of duty. And if we have him with us, we really cannot lose.
When we're fighting, we're singing, much like the Israelites as they sent their choir out in front to lead their armies into battle with song.
The rules of engagement have got to be defined by the dictums of Christ.
The world is asking all kinds of questions, and we've got the answers.
We need to look like the church described in the scriptures, which is a church that despairs of its own competency and lays hold of the grace and the mercy of Christ.
God put dragons in the world so that we could fight them, and we should fight dragons with shouts of joy.
I want to hear Fight, Laugh, Feast on 3. 1, 2, 3.